Leave. No, don't pee in here. Don't do it. But do not pee in here. Stop.
What?
Stop.
Oh
Don't.
my goddamn breath, bitch. I'm working
In here. Stop. Do not pee.
I gotta
Stop it.
piss.
No, stop.
I told you I had
Wait.
to piss.
We'll get your picture and
No.
then you can pee. Stop.
Who ain't pissing?
Stop. Stop.
Dear,
Don't.
please.
Hold up.
Adele, stop. Oh my God.
Hello. This is I don't know, the first clip I used, it was just something that seemed beyond crazy. So I decided to keep it in. Hope everybody's doing okay. Over the past week, I was thinking of what I was going to do for the next live stream. Not really sure how things are going to go with this. I'm not even sure how long I'm going to keep doing it. But while I'm doing it, I'm going to do it the best I can. First thing I want to say, hello, Irish Jazz. Good to see you as always. That's a wonderful thing. You in here. You Langer. I still don't really know how to properly use that, but anyway. First thing I want to talk about is my friend, a good friend that I care about very much that I actually met through a YouTuber. His name's Adam Harris. And Adam Harris, being from Philadelphia, we have a certain culture, I guess is the best way to say it, being from Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a very territorial, socially diverse city. And what I liked about Adam Harris was he was just a regular, down-to-earth person. And I recently found out that even though I knew he was having some difficulties in his life, as we all do, that he also had, a tragedy happen to him. And it's unfortunate that I wasn't able to lend support at the time, transitioning from America to Asia. It took something out of me. Good ways, bad ways. But if Adam Harris, if you're listening to this or if you hear it later, I want you to know that that is his old Christ conflict and you're my friend. And I hope I can be a friend to you. I always enjoyed you, whether I was on somebody else's channel or if you came to visit me on my channel. It's always a pleasure to have you around. And I wish you absolutely nothing but the very best in life. And I hope you reach the happiness that you deserve. Hey, yeah. What's going on? Good to see you too. Oh, yeah. I hope you're doing good too, yeah. Yeah, it's good to see the positive people I had around me when I was doing this channel. Follow me here, and my sub count is very low, but I think the majority of the people that used to subscribe to me just like to hear me go off on a tangent or verbally assault people and things related to that. But like I said in the previous live stream, all of that negativity will take its toll on anybody at some point. And hopefully you have the ability to pull yourself out of it, which I was fortunate to do. That being said, there are some things that have been happening with people I used to associate with, and they are cultivating a culture of wickedness, fear, evil, however you want to put it. I do not look to have any of that on this channel. I am hoping that, thanks, Irish. Appreciate that. Yeah, make sure you tell him. And hopefully he'll come visit me on this channel one day. That's a good guy. He's a really good guy. He could take a joke. He went to a very good high school. He went to a very good college. He's just a good guy. I mean, Adam Harris was like one of those people where no matter if I had flippant remarks about 99 people, he'd be that one person. I just couldn't, you can't say anything negative about Adam Harris. I mean, he's just a good person. I don't know how else to put it. And I'm sorry, my dog's barking outside. I have no idea who he's barking at, but anywho. There is somebody that is insistent that they make the world as miserable as they are. I don't know how else to describe it. And this is a person that I definitely think would benefit from positive thoughts, positive prayer. They are in a world of hurt. And some people, when they hurt, instead of looking to ease the pain, they look to make other people hurt as much as they do. And I had a conversation with someone the other day, and they expressed concern that they didn't want any negativity to affect this channel. And I 120% agree with them. However, I'm not one that's going to pretend or live in fear of, hiding from people that may see me as a target. That's just not the type of person that I am. That's not the type of person that God made me to be. I deal with fear every day of my life. That's one of the byproducts of having post-traumatic stress disorder. What separates those who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder and those that learn to manage post-traumatic stress disorder is the ability to not be controlled by one's fear. I mean, for me, like what's happening in my life now is that the things that I was blocking out from fear are things that have happened so long ago that there's nothing I can do about it. It's not like I can go confront this person and say, you did that. No, most of the people that, I had a fear of or caused me that level of trauma are dead. Most of the people that are still alive that caused me a great deal of trauma stem from my relationships with a number of women. Which, speaking of women, I have to talk a little bit further down the road in this live stream about what it's been like trying to date Filipino women. It's not normal. Anyhow, I say that to say this. I'm going to do what I do. I'm not looking for drama. I'm not inviting drama. People can say what they want to say about me on their channel, and people can hate me from a distance, and I can't stop it. I'm not in the business of trying to convince people that I'm not this bad person. I'm just going to be who I am. Fortunately for me, when I am wrong, I'll admit to it. But if I call somebody else out for being wrong, it's because you're also wrong. I've never had a problem with somebody telling me when I was doing something wrong. The only thing I required of them is to explain to me what I'm doing wrong. I would never just say, "You're wrong for doing that," and have them wondering exactly what it was I was talking about. That's not how things work in life. You need to be able to explain to a person if you care enough, you know. And you know, I'm not going to allow certain people who think they have the power to dictate or control my movements, decisions, or anything like that. That's just not how I work. And I've never feared any one person. I've never feared any group of people. I've always been alone ever since my mother passed away. And I don't see the need for that to change now, especially since I now have God in my corner. And finding salvation was something that has been the best thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life. And speaking of which, there's something that I think needs to be said once again.
Lady on the phone. They both thought I was going to pass out. So now's really not the time for this. I'm sure instead of apologizing profusely and taking it down, you'll find a reason that it's okay. And your reason will be that I support Siwa, not that I've done anything to you, because I haven't, or that I've done something to someone else, which I haven't, or that I'm friends with someone who said something, or that you saw me in Amber's chat. You're damn right I'm in Amber's chat. I'll tell you why I'm in Amber's chat. There's someone there who's been evading on a fucking account. He's not going to think of, you know what, I'm not going there now. I'm not going there now, because he will have his time. Believe me, when this has died down, the expose will be large. It will be, that doesn't matter, right? This is on my screen. I'm not. You know what? Maybe Cherie knew that it was good, but maybe she knew that I shouldn't be monetized because this word right here needs to be on my screen for this very moment. Maybe she knew. She was so invested in this channel. I'm not going to let it crumble. In fact,
Sure, Jan.
So for those that know, you know. And for those that don't know, it's somebody that keeps having my name fall out of their mouth. And I'm not exactly sure why I'm so relevant in their lives, considering the fact that I'm this wicked, evil person. Doesn't make sense to me. But then again, I don't understand quantum physics, so I don't know, maybe they're scientists. The evilness that's going on in the YouTube channels, in the micro channels, I should say, it needs to stop. I mean, I didn't join the YouTube community to spread hatred. I didn't join it to make other people feel bad or spread lies or go on a condemnation train. Like anybody that spends all their time doing that is not a normal person. And there's some kind of pathological issues going on that are deeply rooted, and they're actually unaware of the cancer, not only that they're spreading, but the cancer that they are. And I say this to that person. And if it gets back to them, it does. If it doesn't, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But they can try and take me down all they want to. Worst that happened, I lost a YouTube channel. But strangely enough, all of those live streams were stored, so I didn't really lose anything but the channel. So, like I said, we can't live in our fears. We cannot allow people who have no power over us to have power over us. You know, if you're married, you answer to your spouse. If you have children, you have to take care of them. Being a child, you kind of answer to your parents until you become an adult, and then it becomes not mandatory, but just out of respect. You know, the hatred that's going on, you can't, that's not respect. It's nothing. I don't understand how that cycle of you trash a person, but then when you find a common enemy, you then become allies with a person. That's almost like politics. And everybody complains about politics and not realizing that they're doing it themselves. It's just bad. And being here in the Philippines, one of the things that I noticed, you know, that was kind of sad for me to actually see was that politics plays out here, even in the smallest of places, like villages or whatever you want to call them. Here they call those types of people like marites, and these are people with no lives, no skills, no power, no real power, I should say, but their ability to hurt a person's feelings creates this culture of fear that has everybody kowtowing to them and afraid to make moves or do anything for fear that the Maritus will take it and blow it out of proportion or exaggerate it or even just outright lie about it. That was one of the things that I had to endure when I first came to uh, the province where Jane is from. She told a lot of people that we were getting married, which, you know, was true at one point. However, when I showed up, everybody and their grandmother knew who I was, and I had no idea who they were. So it made it difficult for me to be able to find genuine friendships. And I did find genuine friendships, but it was hard. It was very difficult. You know, the dating scene for me when I first got here after I broke up with Jane, as we can talk about it now, I know it's more, but I just counted off like 10 women when I first got here that I talked to. And they were 10 women that I don't even know how to explain it. Let me say, the first woman I met seemed nice. We met through Facebook. She lived in, they call them barangays, but it's kind of like neighborhoods. So, for example, like the Bronx or South Side of Chicago or North Philadelphia, for example, but they actually have different names. This woman came from a barangay that was in between the barangay Jane's family lived in and the barangay I was staying in when I first got here. And I thought she was nice. She came over, she visited me. She had her own motorcycle, which was kind of cool. And we went to their department store or whatever. And I let her buy a couple of things for her daughter. Little did I know that she had a boyfriend. And she identified her boyfriend as her cousin, which I found out from different forums, that like foreigners that come to the Philippines and they date Filipinas. That was one of the things that they talk about is how, like, this random guy is all of a sudden your wife's cousin. And it's not a cousin. I mean, if you lived in Eastern Kentucky or Arkansas or West Virginia, you might do those types of things with your cousin. But in general, they weren't blood related, and they had relations with each other. That was the first one. Another one, 2 days after we met, invited me to come move into her house, which weirded me out beyond belief because you don't know me. I certainly don't know you. I'm in a country where I know like maybe 3 people, and you're inviting me to move in your house. And then even went as far as to say, oh, well, you don't have to pay any money. You can just move in. Okay, that reeked of desperation. And then I found out that she was a widow. I don't know if she was looking for a father figure or just a surrogate husband. I don't know. Very strange. Moreover, how can I put this in the most delicate of fashion? You have to look long and hard to find a Filipino woman that is not attractive. I have to be honest, a lot of the Filipino women that I've come across are very attractive, whether older or younger. They have this attractiveness to them, and my guess is because they have the blend of Asian and Spanish blood, from the Spanish conquerors or whatever that came through. But this woman, I had absolutely no attraction to whatsoever. Like zero, none, nil, nada, blah, 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 blah. I had to explain to her at least 20 times that I didn't see her that way. We can only be friends. You know, I'm here. I was supposed to get married. I didn't get married. She turned out to be a whore. And I have to be very careful of, who's I would talk to next. But let me make this side note real quick. One of the things I did notice when I first got here was that after the breakup with Jane, I was on the rebound. I mean, like Dennis Rodman on the rebound kind of thing. Like, yeah, any cute Filipino I saw, I was asking my assistant, is she single? Is she single? Is she single? And my assistant was, I guess, patient. And, they're not. They're not. They're not. Uh, I think I was in denial of what had happened to me, and I was trying to do whatever I could to distract from the heartbreak, the embarrassment, the loss of what I came to that particular province for. It took a minute, but you just have to pray to God for patience and have faith. And that was the one thing that did strengthen when I got here. I had to strengthen my faith. I think I was relying too much on what people were telling me they were going to help me with when I got here, as opposed to relying on the Almighty God, who was the one that carried me my entire life. And yeah, it was crazy. The other thing when I was trying to find friends, just friends, was that for whatever reason, a number of Filipinas that would initiate contact with me never wanted me to tell my assistant that I was talking to them. And Filipinas or Filipinos all have this one catch-all excuse for why they can't, or why they have to be secretive, or why they can't do something that other people might say. And they always say the same thing: I'm shy. Okay. I'm not a shy person. Actually, that's not right. I'm a very shy person. But being shy is also having fear. So I don't let that fear control me. But it turned out the women that were telling me that they were shy, it wasn't because they were shy, it was because they were doing dirty. And my assistant knew a lot of people in that province, especially that barangay. She has a lot of relatives in that province, especially in that barangay. So the real reason was they didn't want me to tell her because she probably knew who they were and probably knew what their relationship status was. That happened a number of times. And, I didn't come here to play games. I already understood that I didn't come here to get married. I came here to fulfill, the Lord's will, build a school, build a church. I just asked for a wife, and if God wills, then I'll have it. But that wasn't my priority for being here. It didn't matter because they saw me as a foreigner and thought they could squeeze me for money. Now, that being said, if we're friends and you're in a jam and I can help you, I'm going to help you. But Filipinas, and I guess the Philippines in general, just lump every person that's not Filipino into the same pot. So it doesn't matter if you're from Australia, Switzerland, America, Canada, Mexico. If you're a foreigner, they think you're all the same. And they all think that, they can get money out of you. And I'm just talking about the ones that, are trying to get money out of you. It's makes it very difficult to find somebody whose intentions are genuine as opposed to somebody who's just trying to squeeze money out of you. There was one woman that reached out to me that her family lived directly across the street from me when I lived in Biliran province. And she was 40. At the age of 38, she married an 80-year-old man. and he was American, but then he mysteriously died. And so she too said, the let's be friends thing, but didn't want me to tell my assistant about her. And the thing that used to, I guess, irritate me the most about the Filipinos that I was talking to, they never wanted to be seen with me. Like, some I think were afraid of getting caught up in that rumor mill from the Marites, and others because their hands were dirty. You know, they didn't seem to have any concept of empathy or consideration. It was just almost like a every man for himself kind of thing. I'm going to see how much I can get out of this person. I even had a friend. He was a gay man, and that doesn't matter to me. None. You're gay. You're gay. You're straight. You're straight. It's about your character that is most important to me. And I actually thought I had made a friend with this individual. And one day, out of nowhere, he wants to come visit, which he had talked about before, but it was never anything that it was just never like a priority on my end or his end. It was kind of like, if it happens, it happens, great. If not, no big deal. And this one day he comes over and he brings his cousin. Now, it's legitimately his cousin. And we talk, and she's pretty, and she's older. She's like 30 something. And she was an OFW, overseas Filipino worker, and she was home now, and she had a couple of kids, and she invited me to her house. And okay, this is great. So after her and her cousin left, I asked him, like, I never asked her directly, but I'm asking him, like, by the way, is she single? Because I don't want to get involved in any type of drama. So check this out. He says she's been single for 10 years and she wants to take care of you. Because I guess he explained to her I had post-traumatic stress disorder. The real deal was there was a discussion with all the old ladies in that barangay or village or whatever you want to call it. They were deciding who I'm going to marry and then take care of them and their family. Now, mind you, I wasn't privileged to this conversation at all. It wasn't like I knew anything was going on. They even told Jane's family, well, you had your chance. Jane blew it. So now he's going to marry this girl. Which, no. But not only was this girl not single, her boyfriend lived in the same barangay as me because she lived in a different barangay. But on top of that, he was close friends with my next door neighbor. So I don't know how they expected that to play out because I don't believe in sharing your spouse or your partner. Was she going to break up with him and then he finds out that she's seeing me and then he wants to do damage? Like, my assistant was actually like legitimately concerned for my safety, which, she's never seen me, in a fight because she should have been more concerned about his safety, but that's a whole different story. But I understood, her concerns. I'm not going to make light of her concerns. But, to find this out, it was like, people are scheming. Like, the Philippines is listed as a scammer nation, and there's a good reason why it's listed as a scammer nation, because they like to run scams. It was ridiculous. And when the man, the gay man whose cousin this was that introduced me to, he found out that I knew. And it made things awkward. Like, he never came over to like talk and say hi anymore. He would just ride on his motorcycle. If he saw me, he'd wave and smile and, keep it moving. But it was just like everybody here, well, everybody at that place knew what I had been through. They knew, that Jane was a whore. They knew she drank like a fish. They knew she smoked like a chimney. They knew she was sleeping with married men or men in relationships. So they all knew I didn't know this. And they also saw that I was a nice person. It didn't stop them from still trying to scam me, because a lot of Filipinos, when they see a foreigner, they think he's rich and they see the money. I'm not rich. I'm not poor, but I'm not rich. But to them, I'm rich. And because of that, they felt it was okay to, behave in the way that they did. And it really wasn't. The woman that was 40 years old with the 82-year-old husband, she had foreigners that she was talking to online that was paying her rent because she lived in the province capital, which, relatively speaking or subjectively, is not cheap. And she had no job. So somebody else was paying for that. She was somebody else that she didn't want to be seen with me. Now, mind you, I told her it's not like you're going to come into my apartment and it's just going to be me and you, like my assistants here, my domestic helpers here. And the one night I invited her, my next door neighbor had came over because we were trying this beer. It's called Red Horse. It's like the equivalent of Colt 45 for those in America, or Old English 800. If you are familiar with those, you'd be familiar with Red Horse. Even though Red Horse is probably much milder, it would take probably like 5 of those to get me a real buzz going. But anyway, she was afraid to come over. She wanted me to come to her sister's house across the street, so that way it wouldn't be clear as to who I was there to see. But she didn't want to come over. And the reason that she kept saying was, I'm shy. And it's like, why are you shy? You know my assistant. It's not like you've never seen her before. There's no reason for you to be shy. We can sit outside. But the reason was because their hands were dirty. And that's just been the running theme for like a lot of the women that I talk to, that, I'm shy. I'm shy. It's annoying. However, since I've come to Mindanao, things have been better, significantly better, as far as talking to Filipinos than it was when I was in Biliran. I don't know, like the people of Mindanao, by and large, have been very nice. Even though there was one woman that I met when I was still in Biliran, and the first day I came here, the movers were still not here yet. We had like nothing except whatever we had in our backpacks. And so I did ask her, could I borrow some towels? And she brought fresh towels, like brand new towels to be exact. And so to, pay it back, I bought her, a towel, and I went to visit her. And she even said it, like she didn't want to come to my house because she called my workers Maritesses, but my workers are not Marites. But I think the reality was she was calling them Marites because it was actually her that was the Marites. Now, mind you, this woman is 40 years old. I don't think she's ever had a job a day in her life. She asked me if she could work for me, and I actually said, well, I have a personal assistant, which is Bernadetta, that does all my, business affairs, and then I have my domestic helper. Like, what can you do? All right. Now, mind you, she can't cook. She doesn't clean. And when I say she can't cook, I'm not exaggerating. She can make rice. That's about all she could make. But how she eats is because she lives on this big compound of like different houses, and her mother does all the cooking. And it's like, yeah, you're not going to find a man and you have no skills to offer. Like, I'm not going to waste the time. But other women that I've met here have been very nice. And one in particular that's not from Bukidnon, or is not from Malibala, where I'm at. They're very nice too. And so, like I said, you got to take it slow. I expect things to get better. I'm in a different place. Nobody knows me here, so I don't have to combat the rumors or worry about, people talking about my last relationship, which is a good thing.
sexy. And I like you. So sexy. Just right.
Okay, so I gotta say this. I've been using this Restream serving site like StreamYard, but it ain't StreamYard, and I'm not happy with it. It's been driving me crazy ever since I've been trying to use it. And I don't know. I guess you get what you pay for. I thought this was okay. I mean, they're not bad, but it's not as good as StreamYard is. And I didn't want to pay the fee that StreamYard charges because this one is actually cheaper. But then again, you get what you pay for. One last thing I did want to talk about because I'm gonna stay on here forever and a day was the video I made about Radiant Brit, and I got not a lot of comments on that video. I got a lot of views, just not a lot of comments. But there's one I just had to put up, and it didn't surprise me that the person that posted this comment was a white individual. So let me read it. This is such a flimsy video. You say that you can't say whether or not she is racist, but you do use some pretty BS speculation to distract from a critique of an obviously racist caricature. I think they meant to say caricature. And you conflate being a fan of sports team with that racist caricature. For what purpose? To demand absolute purity before one can have what is an ostensibly correct opinion. Screw all the way off with that. So, 1 second.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
So, just to be clear here, and I'm not going to drag this out, or maybe I will. I don't know. It's my channel. I'll do whatever I want. But just to be clear, I never said I didn't know whether or not Radiant Brit was a racist. What I actually said was I do not believe that she is a racist because I don't. Now, what I find incredible is that he says, I demand absolute purity. I don't demand absolute purity, but you can't call somebody out for being racist while you're displaying racist articles right behind you. You can't do that. I was pointing out the hypocrisy of Radiant Brit and the fact that with all of the other things that we know about Colleen Bollinger, it wasn't necessary to point out something she did like, what, 10, 12 years ago that she's already apologized for. In the clip that I had from Mad TV, that was the comedy of the time. I didn't try to distract from anything. I'm pointing out the fact that somebody in a glass house is throwing stones, and you shouldn't do that. And I also laid it out that perhaps she got caught up in the whole frenzy of the cancel Colleen Bollinger culture. And that cancel culture is deadly like that. But you're being a hypocrite when you're talking about somebody being racist and you're displaying racism. It doesn't work. But again, this individual is a white man, so racism doesn't affect him the way it would people of color, which is why he couldn't understand what I was saying, which is why he got upset. He must be a Redskins fan, and he probably likes the name. He probably didn't like the name change. He probably thought Dan Snyder was a great owner. Keep it racist. In any event, it was just stupid. And that's all I need to say to that. So I hope he got his 15 minutes of fame. And I hope he's happy with it. Anyway, I'm gonna get ready to get out of here. Hopefully I'll see Adam Harris soon. You don't have to worry about me if certain Canadian individuals want to come after me. Hey, I'll put it this way. If they had something, they would have shared it. They have nothing. They are nothing. They will die nothing. They need Jesus. I pray to God that they find Christ because I know they're not Christian. They've told me they're not Christian, and perhaps that contributes to their misery. I don't know. But clearly, they're not happy with who they are. And when you're unhappy inside of yourself, you're probably in a great deal of pain. So all we can do is pray for her. And with that being said, I wish everybody a good evening, a good morning, a great tomorrow. I'll have a video that I'll probably upload in the next 2 or 3 days. And I'll be back sometime next week. Everybody, stay blessed, love yourselves, stay positive, make good choices.